Yeah, yeah. You know what time it is. I got mine. Do you got yours? What you sipping on? What are you sipping on this morning, this afternoon, or evening as you watch this? Because you never know what time it might be. I know when I release this, it's in the morning when I'm drinking coffee. But it's a busy world we live in. So you might be watching this video in the afternoon or at night. Or you may drink your coffee in the afternoon or night. Some people love drinking coffee at 8 o'clock in the evening after they eat. Some people don't like coffee at all. Some of you like tea, which is all good. But go down in the comment section and let me know what you're drinking on. Black men. Black men don't want to retire from the streets. What the hell is going on out here? It blows me away at times when I see the stupidity, the idiocy of the community. I'm telling you right now, the black community, it doesn't even exist for starters. We can start there. The black community, or the community, which is the lack of community, we always want to promote this street nonsense. We always want to promote living a thuggish lifestyle, a gangster life, criminal. So many black people out there, so many families, so many black men, older men, middle-aged men, young boys, are completely consumed with being a thug, completely consumed with being a gangster, completely consumed with being a demon. No matter how many times we see people go to jail for 50, 60, 70 years, no matter how many times you can look up on the news and see somebody get sprayed in a drive-by, no matter how many times you see or hear of someone unleashing a hail of bullets into a crowd, hitting innocent people and not caring, no matter how many times we see mothers crying, there is a gene in the Negro mind that just loves that shit. And it's despicable. It's deplorable. It makes me want to vomit. Why the hell don't you want to be a civilian? Why the hell does every single black man, it seems, and I know it's not every single one of us, but the majority of us, why does everyone want to be a gangster? Now look, I don't need anybody to answer this question for me, right? Of course I know the answer. I know the why, the who, the how, yada, yada, yada. I'm black. Allegedly, I'm black. Okay? Even though there's no such thing as a black man, I'm black. Many of you are familiar with this no snitching thing, right? Let me talk about this whole no snitching thing for a second. The Negro mind is like a spiritual minefield, a spiritual landfill, and a minefield. Nothing but trash and explosives sitting inside the Negro mind. And this goes for the women too. The Negro race, the black race as a whole, is over for us out here, all right? The only way that you're going to tighten up, the only way you're going to be able to get away from these gremlins, and I said, yeah, gremlins. The so-called community is filled with monsters, gremlins, like Pooh Shiesty, Pooh Shiesty's father, Pooh Shiesty's mother. Those are all gremlins. All right. Now let's check this out, because I know most black people in America and worldwide, you know about hip hop, you know about rap, you know about gangster rap, right? I come up in the what you call the gangster rap era, where it first became glorified and glamorized to be a gun-toting, dope-dealing nigga, gang affiliated, to be a killer, to engage in ruthless violence. You know, I come from that time, right? The inception of those things when I was a little huckabuck, right? But I still remember it, and I was affected by it. My whole community, my neighborhoods were affected by it. I'm sure your neighborhoods were affected by it. The whole world was affected by it. When I was a little whippersnapper, the guys in the community, they were not teaching the younger guys uh, good things, shall I say. For example, I'll give you an example of one of the things that the older guys would teach the younger guys. And when I say older, these guys were not necessarily grown men, just older than us. They would preach. This is what niggas was preaching, because this is the inception of the gangster rap era. I told you, I grew up as a little kid in that time where gangster rap was being invented and it was coming to life. It totally destroyed my generation, right? Of course, nobody understood that at the time, but it destroyed my generation. Many of my peers became killers. A good deal of them even became serial killers, became robbers, thieves, just ruthless individuals. Didn't care about nothing but guns, shooting, robbing, and being as crazy as they possibly could. And of course, making money and doing all the other crazy things that Negroes do. That kind of environment, it promotes gremlin like activity. That's the kind of environment that creates guys like Pooh Shiesty. But one of the things that the guys in the community I was teaching when I was little, a slogan they used to say. They would say it, they would write it on the walls, might even spray paint it. And the slogan was this: real niggas live by the trigger. Then you let that marinate. You heard me right. The slogan was real niggas live by the trigger. That's what was being taught in the community that I grew up in. I lived in a couple of different neighborhoods out here in the DMV growing up. And one of the neighborhoods that I lived in, that was being preached and pushed heavily. They would say that. They would write that different places in the community. They would maybe even spray paint that. There's a little nigga, you're hearing these slogans and you're seeing that written on the walls. Real niggas live by the trigger. That does something to your mind. And you know what? A lot of my peers, they heard that and they saw that and they decided to listen to that. It's called peer pressure. Peer pressure to be a gangster. Peer pressure to be a real nigga. And the only first things first in being a real nigga, you live by the trigger. And a lot of my peers, they fell victim to that. Because they thought, hey, well, I gotta be a real nigga because that's what's being pushed in the community. If you're not a real nigga, you know what? People don't like you. People don't want to be associated with you. And they may even target you to be robbed. Or, you know what I mean? So it's a lot that goes into this debaucherous mindset. And in those kind of environments, the worst thing you could be in those environments is to be a snitch, a rat. That's the worst thing you could be in those kind of environments. In my neighborhoods, all of the neighborhoods that I grew up in, it was understood even from a little kid. Everybody hates a rat. Everybody hates a snitch. Then when you start talking about talking to the police, see, now you just, in the community, that's suicide. The whole neighborhood will come against you. Now, you think about this. Do you want a neighborhood filled with gremlins turning on you and targeting you? You know what's going to happen to you when that happens? Maybe you never lived in the kind of city or town or community where it's overpopulated with gremlins. And if the gremlins are not appeased, things start to happen. Maybe you don't know about what it's like to live in that kind of environment where the gremlins will say, hey, that house right there, we don't like the people in that house because that old lady in there called the police on us. And you know what gremlins will say? You know what a lot of these wicked niggas will say when grandma calls the police? They'll say, grandma's snitching. Grandma's a snitch. And that shows you how mentally dilapidated the majority of Negroes are. That goes for the young niggas out there, the YNs, the older niggas, the middle-aged niggas, most of you out there, the keyboard warriors. There's this mentality that spreads throughout the community that under no circumstances is anyone to cooperate with the authorities. Let me clear up something for a lot of you lame brains, you keyboard warriors, you wannabe thugs, and you so-called gangsters out there. All right? Because most of you niggas out there don't have no scruples. You don't have any wherewithal. You don't have any brains. Most of you, sad to say, you're going to end up being a stain on the sidewalk for your lack of wisdom, for your barbarian-like ways, and for your bloodthirsty activities. You're going to reap what you sow, which means a good portion of you are going to end up a stain on the sidewalk. All right. And the same way you took people's lives and made fun of them and laughed about them, talking about I'm smoking on JoJo and I'm smoking on Lil Man, same thing going to happen to you. You're going to reap what you sow for your Negro-like, your gremlin-like behavior. There's this whole thing of no snitching. Under any circumstances, no one in the community has to talk to law enforcement. Grandma, you can break in grandma's house. This is what niggas want you to let people do. This is what black men, and I see old niggas out here, they want you to let somebody break into grandma's house, rob grandma at gunpoint. And then if grandma calls the police, there's actually some niggas out there who will say that grandma's a snitch, and then they will target grandma. That's how evil, dumb, and stupid a lot of you black men are out there. You're idiots. Who do you think the police is there to protect? The police are there to protect civilians. They're supposed to. Don't get me wrong. Look, I'm going to keep it real with you. I don't like police, all right? But I am being real with you. Be keeping it real. This is Coffee with Mr. Real Talk. I'm going to keep it real with you. I don't like police. I have my reasons. I have a million reasons why I don't like police. But, however, they do have their benefits to the people who are civilians out there. When I say civilians, what is a civilian? A civilian is someone who is not a gangster. A civilian is someone who is not a thug. If you are a gangster, aka, or if you are a thug, some people say they're different. Some people swap them out, say they're the same, whatever you want to call it. If you are a gangster, a thug, you are not a civilian. If you are a drug dealer, you are not a civilian. If you are a pimp, okay, you are not a civilian. If you are a pickpocket, you are not a civilian. If you are a car thief, you're not a civilian. If you are a scammer, you're not a civilian. You know what that means? Everybody in those groups that I just named, and if I'm leaving any of those criminal umbrellas out, if I'm leaving any of those criminal activities out, y'all go in the comment section and let me know any of those groups that I forgot. But if you are a part of any of those groups that I just named, you are not a civilian. You know what that means? You are the one that cannot snitch. You are the one that under no circumstances at all, you are the one who cannot talk to the police. Okay? Because you're a criminal. You're a thug. You're a thug. You're a gangster. You're a drug dealer. You're a pimp. You're a pickpocket, a car thief, a home invader, a scammer. All of those guys, you are the ones who are required to live by street code. You can't talk to the police because you're a criminal. You get caught, you have to go to jail, go to prison, and do your time. But a lot of y'all so-called gangsters and thugs and car thieves, whatever you want to call yourself, drug dealers, not all of you, but a good deal of you, you're not real men. Because soon as you get caught, you start snitching. I got no problem with somebody who wants to berate a drug dealer who goes to prison and then starts snitching so he can get out. That's a snitch. I got no problem with somebody berating a so-called killer who once he done did a drive-by, he get caught. Now he want to tell on everybody else who's doing drive-bys too. That's not a real man. That is a weenie. That is a snitch. Now listen to me. As your brother, I don't condone none of that bullshit. I say, fuck the streets. The streets ain't shit. It's going to get your dumb ass put in jail for a long time, like Pooh Shiesty dumb ass. Or it's going to get you taken off this earth for being a wicked-ass gremlin. Okay? Pooh Shiesty is a gremlin. His name is Shiesty. Pooh Shiesty. Shiesty niggas are the kind of niggas that get put to death and they get lots of time in prison for being shiesty. Not everybody's going to let you play with them and do that shiesty shit. The black community is the most wickedest place that I've ever been personally. Where people want you to let somebody rob you. Once again, I named out all the groups and all the names of people who cannot talk to the police because you're a criminal. People who are civilians are not bound to these criminal thought processes, these criminalistic morals that you niggas want to hold on to, even though you niggas don't even have morals. What they really want is they want you to be able to be shot, unalived, robbed, and nothing to happen. That's why they push so hard for no snitching. Then once again, like I said, I'm not talking to the thugs out there. To all of my thugs out there, you have to deal with that in the thug way. You can't go to the police because you're a thug. You commit crime. And you would be a hypocrite. If you commit the crime, you have to do the time. And you got to take whatever flack that comes with being a gangster, being a street nigga, as so many of you niggas want to be. Being a street nigga, you know what? Sometimes niggas want to kill you. And it doesn't matter if you've done anything to them personally or not. That's a part of being a street nigga. Sometimes when you a gangster, niggas want to rob you. Niggas want to shoot you. And then maybe you did do something to them personally, or maybe you didn't. But it doesn't matter. That's part of the territory. You want to be a drug dealer? Guess what? Sometimes drug dealers get killed. Sometimes they get robbed. Sometimes they get set up and ambushed. Nothing personal. That is a part of being a drug dealer. Hey, your house gets shot up. Somebody shoot 50, 100 rounds at your house. Guess what? You're a pimp. You're in the streets. That comes with it. So no, you cannot call the police. You have to handle it in the streets where you work at. That's your job. I'm a firm believer you got to be a man. If you're going to commit the crime, you need to do your time. If you get caught, it's part of being a man. I thought you was a gangster, though. I thought you was a real nigga, as some of you niggas like to claim out there. You a real nigga, but you like to talk to the police when you go to jail. You ain't no civilian. You're a drug dealer. But you want to talk to the police. And see, here's the thing with a lot of you fake thugs and you fake street niggas. And you keyboard warriors who sit at home, you ain't never committed a crime. You ain't never sold no drugs. You haven't never counted $1,000 in cash. I'm talking illegal money. You ain't never did nothing to make the news. You ain't never did nothing. You never broken a law in your life. You one of the most law-abiding citizens ever. But you be online talking about somebody a snitch. There's niggas out there who ain't never even ran a red light, never been to jail, never been to prison, never been accused of nothing. Nobody knows you for street activity because you've never done anything in the streets. But you at home with a faceless logo typing about Gucci Man is a snitch. That nigga over there is a snitch. You gonna call me a snitch. I can see somebody right now, Mr. Real Talk is a snitch. Hey, nigga, I can't be a snitch. You know why? I'm not a drug dealer. I'm not a thug. I'm not a pimp. I'm not a car thief. I'm not a home invader. I don't do drive-bys. I don't do none of that. So I could never be a snitch. Okay? I am a full-blooded civilian. I couldn't be a snitch. But see, that's the problem with the way that black men think. You don't want to retire from the streets. Black men want to be 65 years old, 70 years old, talking about I'm a real nigga, I'm a street nigga. Why? Because I don't snitch. Niggas in their 60s out here arguing with people about who's a snitch and who's a rat because they glorify the ignorance. I had people that I know. I'm talking older guys, older than me, bragging about how they ain't no snitch. Bragging about how, niggas know not to play with them because they uphold, I'm a street nigga. I'm a drug dealer. Yes. Have you ever seen a drug dealer in their 60s? Have you ever seen criminals in their 60s, early 60s, mid 60s, still thugging, still committing crime, still dope dealing, still pimping, doing whatever they do, scamming, car thieves, hitmen, whatever. There are ninjas out here in the community, and you might not know them. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. But they're out there in their 60s, still holding strong, holding the street shit up, street cred, talking about who's a snitch, who's not, who's getting robbed, who's not, who got the most bodies, who don't. When are we going to stop this? As a black man, when are you going to retire from the streets? Black men want to get you in a box. Literally, they want to put you in a pine box because they killers. Lots of them. But they want to put you in a box and they don't want to allow you to grow. They want to keep you a boy. Even if let's say you was at one time, let's say you were a thug, let's say you were a pimp, a gangster, whatever, a home invader, whatever. Because there's all kind of genres of crime out there. Let's say you were into one of those or some of those genres. You know what black men want you to do? If you start committing crime when you're 14 years old, they want you to stay that. If you become a pickpocket when you're 15 years old, they want you to be a pickpocket for life. If you were someone, maybe you was a teenager, you started selling drugs, black men in the community, they want you to be a drug dealer for life. They want you to go to your grave in your 70s, in your 80s, being an 85-year-old drug dealer. And because you started dealing drugs at 15 or 16, and maybe you turned your life around by the time you got in your 20s. By the time you reach your 40s and your 50s, black men still want you to keep street mentality. Even though maybe you don't even do street stuff no more. You may have turned over a new leaf and you might even now be a righteous brother. But black men say, no, we want you to keep the same street mentality. So even though you started selling dope when you was 15 and 16 and shooting people, by the time you turn 25, you had a miraculous occurrence in your life. You changed your life. Now you in your 40s. Now you in your 50s. You haven't been a thug in decades. Somebody tries to rob you. You call the police. Black men are going to call you a snitch and say, hey, that nigga a snitch, y'all. He a snitch. when you go to work every day and you have a family and children. You ain't been thugging in decades. You're a law-abiding citizen, legal business, legal job. You don't commit crime. You don't want to be around crime. Somebody breaks in your house and robs you. You call the police. Black men gonna say you a snitch. They're gonna say he ain't no real man because black men want you to go out there and crash out, find the guy on your own, take his life. So what if you get caught? That's what black men want you to do. They want you to go out, find that person, take their life, and go to prison for life yourself. Leave your wife and your children out here. Black people don't care about your wife and children. They care about you keeping it gangster, even when it will destroy you, even when there's no benefits. They don't care because black men don't care about you for the most part. There's a remnant of black men who care about you. Niggas like me and my brothers out there, we care about you. That's why we saying to hell with this street bullshit. And I don't even have any kids, but I got relatives. I got younger ones coming behind me, little guys. And I don't want them getting caught up with this street bullshit. There's no benefit to it. You're going to go to jail or you're going to get put to death. Wickedness. That's the benefits of keeping it real. Black men, you got to do better. You've got to graduate from the street mentality. You got to stop this crab in a barrel shit. Look at what's happening with Pooh Shiesty and Gucci Mane. I'm going to tell you right now, note to self, if you ever get wealthy, do not do business with these niggas. Don't do it. The only way I would do business with black people, I'm going to tell you straight up, it got to be online where I ain't got to see you physically. You think I'm going to do business with black people face to face? You out of your damn mind? The majority of these niggas are gremlins, and they're going to try to rob you. You out there doing legit business. You ain't selling drugs, okay? You ain't selling stolen goods. You have a legit business out there. Don't do business with black people because the majority of them are gremlins. How do I know that? The majority of them believe in Jesus Christ. Father, please forgive me for saying that name. We can start there. We'll start there. Christ is a demon who wants you to, just like I'm drinking coffee, he wants you to drink his blood. Spiritually, brother, not physical blood. Drink spiritual blood, which is just as demonic. But I'll digress on that. Okay, I'll digress on that. I got a whole nother channel called Mr. Real Talk where we go into that. Okay, maybe you stick around to the absolute end of this video. Maybe I'll have a video over here or over here with a playlist about Christ, the idol. I'm gonna leave a video at the end of this video. I'm gonna leave something here or here for y'all to check out about the so-called only begotten Son of God and thank me later, okay? Like I said, I'm not doing business in the physical realm with black people because they can't be trusted. No morals. Young ones, old ones, keyboard warriors. Everybody wants to be a gangster. Everybody wants to be a thug. And they want to bleed that thug shit over into the legitimate world. And it doesn't work like that. But most of you niggas out there, you're gremlins. You're not smart. So I don't expect you to understand anything that I'm talking about. It's going to go in one ear and out the other, as it should. You're a gremlin. I expect nothing less. The only way I'm doing business with Negroes if it's going to be online, okay? Now, I know I'm a respectable guy. I'm an honorable guy. I'm not no gremlin. I'm not black. I'm a Hebrew Israelite. That changes everything. And I carry myself accordingly. So that changes everything. I don't care who likes this. I deal with reality. That's why my name is Mr. Real Talk. Don't you do business with these niggas out here who push no snitching. He a snitch, she a snitch. Nigga ain't never committed a crime a day in their life, but they online calling somebody a snitch. That's why you don't do business with that. Selling stuff on Facebook Marketplace and all these other kind of apps where you got to meet up with people. I'm gonna tell you right now. Now, I've done things like that before. I ain't doing it no more. Okay? We in a different season now. You got to realize how demonic the community is and distance yourself. Black man, you have to grow up. Even though most of these niggas don't want you to graduate from the street life, see, this is why it's best never to ever get involved with the streets. Easy to get in, hard to get out. That's why some people just say, hey, man, I'm in the streets for life. I'm never leaving. It's a trap. Make no mistake about it. The streets are not your friend. The streets don't love you. And that's why even once you become legitimate and a CEO of a music company like Gucci Mane has millions and millions and millions of dollars. Gucci Mane, everybody knows Gucci Mane for being a street nigga. He was a drug dealer. Killed people, okay, said he used to rob people and all that stuff, right? But of course, that was years ago. Fast forward to today, in these times, in these years, Gucci Mane is a record label CEO. He ain't selling dope no more. He ain't out in the streets robbing people no more, hitting licks and doing all of that. However, he's a businessman. He's a CEO. He makes millions of dollars dealing music. He was allegedly set up and robbed by Pooh Shiesty and 8 other goons, right? Pooh Shiesty wanted out of his record deal because he didn't want to honor the contract. Just like a lot of people who are signed to record labels, they like the money up front, but when it's time to honor the contract, that's when these niggas want to get out. Pooh Shiesty wanted to get out so bad that he allegedly had Dracos pulled out and put into the face of Gucci Mane and forced him to let him out of the contract. And Gucci Mane, because he wasn't selling dope, okay, he wasn't pimping, he wasn't being a pickpocket, he wasn't running an illegal business. Selling music is a legal business. And he brought one of his employees in to have a meeting, a workplace meeting, and they allegedly robbed him, pulled out them things, right? And it's been said that Gucci Mane has been cooperating with the police. And Negroes in the community have been on Gucci Mane's head, calling Gucci Mane a rat, calling him a snitch. Because, yeah, one time everybody knows Gucci Mane was a street nigga. He was a drug dealer and all that, a thug. Everybody knows that. At what point is a black man allowed to say, you know what? I understand the error of my ways. I understand the fault in being a street nigga, in being a drug dealer, in being a pickpocket, in being a thug, in being a gangster. I understand the errors of that. I don't want to be in error anymore. I was a bad person, so I want to stop being bad, and now I want to be a decent human being. At what point do black men get that in their head? Or are you as a black man forever doomed to stay in the street and be a street nigga? Black people, black men, they don't want to let you grow. Black men want to turn you into a thug, and then they want you to stay a thug until you die. And if you try to do anything other than that, and you know what's so crazy about black men and even black people, period? Even if you've never been a thug, even if you've never been a street nigga, you may have been a law-abiding citizen your whole life. These niggas will still try to force that street politic bullshit on you. And you never been a criminal. You never been a thug. If somebody robs you, you're supposed to call the cops. I'm talking to all my squares out there. You never committed crime. You never were a thug. You never were a thief. Never were a gangster. Never did none of that garbage. If somebody assaults you in any kind of way, robs you, steals from you, you are supposed to go to the cops. That's what the cops are there for. But black men, niggas, will call you a snitch. That's how you know black men are not smart. I'm just keeping it real. For the majority, some of us are, but I'm talking about the majority overall black men. They're not smart. They don't understand that a nerd, a civilian, could never be a snitch. He's supposed to go to the authorities if somebody pulls out a gun on him or carjacks him. But black men will still call a square, a nerd, a snitch. Nah, he shouldn't have snitched. He a snitch. That nerd, he snitched. Somebody who works a 9 to 5 gets beat up or robbed, and they call the police, they'll say he snitched. Keyboard warriors at home typing away ain't never committed no kind of crime a day in their life. But they calling somebody a snitch. They would never be down to go to jail for committing crime, but they calling you a snitch. Niggas don't even know what a snitch is. And it's just sad. That's how you know the black community is doomed. And look, this is never going to change. The only thing that can change is you. You have to escape the black community because it's never going to change. The black community is a burning house, a house on fire, and it ain't going to get put out. It's going to consume you if you won't leave. You got to leave. Separate yourself from these niggas. They're low vibrational, degenerative, gremlins. Pooh Shiesty is a gremlin. His mom is a gremlin. His dad is a gremlin. No wonder why Pooh Shiesty just didn't care about throwing his whole life away. Nigga just came home from doing like 5 or 6 years in prison. But he's so crazy. He's such a gremlin. He's so shiesty. I've known a lot of shiesty niggas growing up, and I never liked them shiesty niggas. I don't like them because you can't trust them because they do shit like Pooh Shiesty did. I knew a lot of niggas like Pooh Shiesty. Lots of them. And his dad is a gremlin as well. An old-ass gremlin. Allegedly, he was there with the alleged robbery. And his mother, too. Just another gremlin. For dating his father. His father was a street nigga, okay? And his mother talking crazy, like a lot of so-called black women out there. She don't see nothing wrong with what her son did. Gremlin. That's why I tell you, don't do business with black people. If you want to do business with so-called black people, it better be some Yah-only Hebrew Israelites. You cannot do business with black people because they're shiesty. They're gremlins. And they are dedicated to the street code, which means they can rob you, they can steal from you, and they expect you to, shh, don't tell, or you're a snitch. They want you to not snitch so that they can prey on you. And it would be one thing if they was just preying on drug dealers and other thugs and other gangsters, but these drug dealers and thugs and gangsters, a lot of these niggas talk about having morals, but they don't got no morals because they prey on civilians. How you gonna be a real gangster, a real street nigga and a thug, but you picking on squares, civilians? If you a gangster, a thug, a street nigga, you supposed to pick on other thugs and gangsters and street niggas who are in the same boat as you. Neither one of you can tell because of your lifestyle. So you handle the products that you have in the lifestyle that you're in. If you live in a square life, go to the cops and call the cops. If you a gangster and a thug, then you handle that shit like a gangster and a thug. Period. But black men just don't want to grow up. And that's why most of you going to get put to damn death. It's a shame. And it's so crazy because the community is pressuring Gucci Mane to not cooperate. Here Gucci Mane is owning a multi-million-dollar legitimate business. Somebody comes in, literally pulls out the chopper, the Draco, tries to strong-arm him from his whole business, and niggas are telling him he a snitch. Because you know what? Black people want Gucci Mane to let millions of dollars of legitimate business just go away and get stolen from him with no recourse. They want Gucci Mane to go out here and pick up his gun and find a way to get to Pooh Shiesty. Even though the feds would know that it's Gucci Mane, and so the Gucci Mane would spend the rest of his life in jail. But that's what lots of black men want. You got rappers out there making videos about Gucci Mane talking about they disappointed in Gucci Mane. Because you niggas are dumb, stupid, wicked gremlins. I'm telling you, escape the community while you can, because it's overpopulated with gremlins. Grow up, black man. Get away from these niggas. If you ain't never been a street nigga, please don't ever jump off the porch. Don't ever become a street nigga. Don't become fascinated with that life, because it's a short lifespan. Lots of these niggas are going to die. The rest are going to go to jail for life. When are you going to learn, black man? And what are you sipping on out there? I'm sipping on my nice black coffee. No sugar, no cream. That's right. I'm sick of it. And I know I cannot be the only one. I'm disappointed in you, black men. 50 years old, 60 years old, calling somebody a snitch. Talking about how honorable it is to not be a snitch. Black men's brains are so backwards. Black women too. Black children too. Because it starts with the black man. You crazy as hell, so of course your woman gonna be crazy as hell. Woman crazy as hell, of course our children gonna be crazy as hell. Look at Pooh Shiesty. Pooh Shiesty's father is a demon. Pooh Shiesty's mother is a demon. Pooh Shiesty, he's a shiesty ass demon, a crash out demon, who's probably getting ready to do a lot of time in prison. He's stupid. Just like a lot of you niggas out there. If you live in the street life, you're stupid. If you live in a thug life, you're an idiot. I'm going to tell you right now, repent, brothers. To all the gangsters and the thugs and the killers and the drug dealers and all that out there, repent and turn to Yah and him alone. He can give you a new beginning. He can give you a new mind where you won't have to be a gremlin like Pooh Shiesty, where you won't have to be a drug dealer, a shooter, a robber, a home invader, a pickpocket, a car thief. You won't have to do none of that. But you got to go Yah only to understand that. Or else you're going to continue to live a life of degeneracy. You're a 60-year-old boy out there, still glorifying being a thug, glorifying going to prison. I'm street. I'm never going to tell. I'm never going to go to the police. You 60-something years old. And it's a shame. You're not going to graduate from the streets because you don't want to. But to all the brothers out there who know what I'm saying is true and you would like to graduate from the streets, I want you to like this video. I want you to share this video and let me know in the comment section how you feel about what we've been discussing, okay? And also let me know where you're from. Let me know what you're drinking on. And also, I'm going to leave some videos for you to check out right about now. Probably got one here and here. Check them all out. Go down below in the video description. Check out all the links. I'm out.